This video, we're going to be answering your questions talking about the 3-wood and the driver and how to better strike those for more control. Hey everybody, Scott Oaken coming at you here. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're going to be talking today, answering a question sent in by a user. We're going to be talking about how to hit the driver and the 3-wood better, so make sure you don't miss it. Before we get into that, what I want to do is I was actually just talking with somebody about 3-woods. I want to see what people are playing out there and what your thoughts are on your different 3-woods. So comment down below what you're currently using and any ones that you've tried out. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the various 3-woods that are out there that you can use. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. So in this video, what we were talking about was the driver and the 3-wood. We had a question sent in from user Travis Robbins where he asked about trying to get the golf club squared up with these longer clubs sooner. He was having an issue with having a push and a hook. So sounds something more like what a good player would do, is have those types of problems, but it is a problem I hear a lot of. So we're going to talk about some ideas, and we're going to talk mainly with the 3-wood because I hear a lot of people that would love to hit their fairway woods better, but a lot of what we talk about will apply to the driver as well. So let's illustrate what the problem here is first. So again, we're hitting some sort of push or hook with a golf shot. So when we hear that, the first thing we have to start realizing is the golf club is most likely traveling too far from the inside, and the face has got to be a little bit open, and then we have to work really, really quick to be able to square it up, and sometimes we do. Okay, and we might do it a little too much, and that causes a hook, or sometimes we might not, and that's actually what causes our block. So we have to look at kind of the reasons why we don't get the club face squared up. So we're going to talk about the first one here, which is we need to be having enough room. A lot of times with these longer clubs, we don't give ourselves enough room for the club to square up. So we run into an issue where the club just doesn't like to square up, and we get into what we would call like an early extension or a stuck position. So we want to work on seeing, all right, how do I create some more room through the strike to make that happen? And that actually starts first off with the backswing. That's what I usually see. So when you get to these longer clubs, what I see people do is when they make their backswing, they don't turn enough with these longer clubs. They're trying to hit the ball too hard with not enough turn, okay? Well, what's the turn do? One, it helps you get some power into it, but it helps get the club back in a position where I can now direct the golf club out to the ball, all right? If I'm able to direct the golf club out towards the ball, that's a really good thing, okay? So getting more turn on this backswing, feeling like you have a little bit more depth where the hands are a little more behind you so you can swing the club out, that's a really good starting point. Again, I see a lot of people that don't put enough turn into it. They get a little vertical with their hands, and then when they come down, they have to really drop this club inside. Face gets hard to manage. They got some issues there. So the other thing I see is when they don't have turn, they want to get distance out of it. So no turn, fire everything and go, and we've got kind of the same issue. You don't have anything to unwind or uncoil because you haven't coiled anything up in the backswing. So getting a little bit of turn, getting a little bit more depth, and trying to go from there. So when we do this, what we'd actually try to do is just start to feel your shoulders obviously are going to turn, and we want to get those to, if we can, 90 would be great, but our hips as well, we want to let those turn, and we can let those turn quite a bit. I mean, 45, 50, 55, 60 degrees is okay. The days of X factor and trying to keep this part of your body still while you turn your upper body, those days are gone. Those that we realize that's not a great thing to do. It actually causes more harm than good. And the idea that you're coiling and stretching, it doesn't seem to happen, all right? And then we have a lot of issues with back problems, things like that. So the better thing is to let everything turn and load up, and then you'll actually create stretch in different ways on the downswing. So that's always the first thing I see is when we struggle to get the club to square up. Now, let's say we are getting that turn or we're getting into a good position, the next thing we're gonna look at is how do we direct the golf club back to the ball? So when I see people that are trying to hit their driver or their 3-woods, especially if they're trying to draw the ball or get rid of some sort of slice, they know, all right, I've got to swing on an in to out path. I've got to get the club swinging down and out to get that desired club path to not slice it. Well, the way they typically do that is they swing their hands on that path. They swing their hands out, and that's going to take the club out, but you've got an issue where the golf club isn't able to square as easily. You're also on a really, really in to out path, so getting the correct face for that path gets pretty tough. You're also going to struggle with your contact. And so what we really want to see is, when we go through this, is I want the club head, as I turn back, the club head is what I want to swing out and start to square up. What's that mean for your hands? Well, my hands are going to be swinging on a completely different arc than the golf club. As you watch me do this, my hands are well inside the golf club and the golf ball. That's just like they start at address. That's where they start from. We need to start seeing the golf club swing out and square up. So for those that, maybe are guarding against flipping, things like that, you're gonna see that it's gonna feel like a flip. Now, when you actually look at it, I'd be very shocked if you actually are flipping, but it's that idea that our hands aren't where we wanna go, it's where the club goes, and your hands to make the club head go out can be a really different thing. So when I get up here, again, we wanna get some turn so we can get the club to direct out, and then we have to actually direct the club out. If we're able to do that, I'm able to put a decent swing on it and get it squared up relatively well. So that's our main goals as we start trying to hit these longer clubs and these bigger clubs, is starting to understand where you have the force of the club head to square up, not your hands or your body, which then make you react late in the swing, which causes that overactive club face. So those are the two main things I see with people that really struggle with fairway woods, driver, the longer clubs. And we don't see that come up in the shorter clubs as much because the club's so short compared to these longer ones, and the way you're set up, the angle's a little bit more steep on the lie angle, right? It's a little more upright. So you can get away with a few of these things and it still have some decent results. But what we want to see is having a little bit more consistency. Well, that means we're going to have to start directing the golf club head out a little bit to make this happen. So there's a great question sent in. Thanks so much. Again, we'd love to hear all of your questions. Please comment down below. Let us know what you want to learn about. But thanks to user Travis Robbins for sending that in. And we, again, want to hear your thoughts. So comment down below your 3-woods, what you're using. And then also make sure you subscribe. Got plenty of videos coming up. If you didn't see our last live lesson, we got more live lessons coming up. We're also going to have more on course. Heard people love that. And here in Chicago, we're getting outside, so hopefully get some on course outside as well. So again, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.